Hey guys, we are live. Good evening. Thank you so much for everyone that is joining us this evening. It's your girl Shantae, Melanin Success Magazine. The podcast is back. I am so happy this evening that we have Mr. Angelo McCutchen with us. If y'all been following us, y'all know we're going to dive into some credit issues tonight. So thank you to everyone that is going to be joining. Thank you if you're coming back to watch this on replay. And both of this stream will definitely be on both of our podcasts. So we're gonna dive deep into that for Mr. Angelo here. So I just want to say welcome and thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us this evening to help some people out with their credit, like you're helping me out. So welcome, Angelo.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad to be here on the Melon Success Magazine podcast in the house. Yeah, we're looking to help some people tonight, for sure.
I'm sorry, Angelo, I'm having issues on my end. It sounds like Darth Vader. Hold on, let me see if we can get these technical issues worked out. That was super.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on one moment. This is not. Okay. I'm going to come off. Okay, let us see. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound clear.
Okay, now I can hear you. It sounded like Darth Vader was talking. Okay, that was.
Oh, really wow. My Darth Vader voice.
Yesterday. No Star Wars today. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I missed the whole opening, but welcome, Angelo. I'm so happy that you were able to join us this evening.
Well, thanks for having me as a guest. I really appreciate it and looking forward to really helping some people tonight.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to dive right in. So where are you from? Let the people know where you're from and what it is that you do and how did you start doing, how did you become the credit doctor?
Absolutely. Well, of course, my name is Angelo McCutchen. I'm originally from Passaic, New Jersey. Jersey is in the house, right? Yep. Born and raised in Passaic. Born in Patterson, raised in Passaic, basically. Yes. Married with 5 kids. Living now here in Virginia. And just doing what we do to help people. I actually got into the business maybe 15 years ago, and I got into it because I had horrible credit. And of course, I had horrible credit because nobody taught me or educated me about the importance of having credit when I was coming up. Right? We didn't learn that in the schools we went to. Basically, didn't really learn that at home, and we didn't get that information in the church that I wanted to. So everything for me was trial and error. And in my case, it was all error because I made a lot of mistakes because I just did not know. And by the time I got married and was starting to try to apply for things, I was getting denied all around the clock. Everybody was either denying me or telling me I had to put a big down payment on it. And then they told me it had something to do with my credit, which I had no idea what a credit report was or a credit score was at that time. So I started saying to myself, like, you know what? If everybody's saying this about my credit, I need to know what is my credit score. I need to see what's on my credit report. And I can remember the first time I pulled my credit reports. First time I pulled my credit reports from the credit bureaus, I had about 15 to 18 negative items on all 3 of my credit reports. I mean, some things that I recognized that I thought would go away, but I just ignored it, but was sitting there. Some things I didn't know, that was on there. And I was like, wow, let me get my credit score. How bad is my credit score? When I got all 3 of my credit scores, they was all in the low 400s, like 420, 450, something like that. It was bad.
Right, poor.
Yeah, yes, horrible. So I made up in my mind that I need to change this. I can't be doing this and having this score. Right. So I went into my studying mode to find out how I can repair my credit. And at the time, when I would talk to certain people about how to do it, they would say, well, you really can't repair your credit. You just got to pay all your bills and you got to pay those things. And I was like, wow. I said, but wait a minute, you got to be just. And I kept searching. And then I came into what was known today as the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. I found that information online and I started reading what the law said were my rights. Now, obviously, I didn't understand everything that was being said because it was, that language is
law language when it comes to
whatever the case may be. But I actually started, researching on how I can repair my credit. Took me about after I got all the information, long story short, I got all the information, and then I started to send out the dispute letters, send out things because of the errors that I found on my credit report. I started sending those out, and within 2 years, my scores went from a 400 to an 800 plus. And the good thing was I didn't pay not one of those bills that was on there. Got them all deleted. All 15 or 18 items got them deleted based on what the law said were my rights. And once I did that, I was like, you know what? This is something that I believe a lot of people need to know, that they can clean up their credit. Absolutely. And at the time, I cleaned up my wife's credit. I cleaned up, I think it was my brother's credit or my sister's credit. And after a while, the word got out, that I fixed credit. And in my mind, I was like, oh, this is going to be a business then. And that's how we all started.
So everybody started coming to you because you did it. So it's like, yes. And it's like one of those things where people are nervous. It's like, fix my credit. I got to give up my social. I got to give up my birthday. I got to give you my mother's maiden names. Those are things that people don't even realize that they're giving out for free when they answer those little things on social.
Exactly. Yes.
But it is just super dope that you actually found a way to help not only yourself, but our community and just the community of supporters that support your business. So thank you for that. To dive even deeper, when it comes down to credit, I know that like me, we're working together. You're working with me and my husband, and I know a lot of other people. When it comes to fixing, repairing somebody's credit, what is the main thing that you think why people hesitate when it's like, oh, I can pay somebody that can, help fix my credit? Or when you say, I can help you, repair your credit, and you get the, that sounds great. But then it's like, I give them my social. So how do you deal with people that, feel like they want your help and they see other people getting relief from, debt and things like that, and, getting new cars and being able to buy houses? How do you target those people that really need your help but are skeptical?
Right. So, and I understand people who are, skeptical and everything like that, because you do have a lot of scammers out here, and you do have a lot of scams that get your number, your social, and all that, and use that. So it's a legitimate feeling, I believe, and a lot of people. Some people is not so much they are afraid of scamming, other than they are embarrassed of letting somebody see how bad their credit score may be. So just kind of educating people. And usually after I tell my story of how I cleaned up my credit and how bad it, I kind of always revert back to that, because that kind of eased them a little bit. Like, well, okay, this is somebody who actually had it, been where I've been, and actually, was able to get it done. And sometimes when I show them, hey, this is my score. See, I'm not just telling you, this is it. And it kind of puts an ease in them, and then they're willing to kind of step out and say, well, okay, I need to get this done. I really need to get. I had a friend, a few years ago, who used to always say, I'm coming to you, Angelo, to get my credit fixed. I'm coming. And at least for 4 years straight, he would tell me, I'm coming to you to get your credit. And finally, I believe on the 5th year, he finally came to me, and we cleaned him up. And to this day, every time I talk to him, he'll always say, man, I wish I would have came the first time I said it, man. I really wish. I was just so embarrassed, man. I was just embarrassed. But since then, I've learned so much from you. My credit went from the 5 to the 7. And so, yeah, that's the reality.
Right. And that's the one thing that I know, like for myself, a personal story, when I was 18, and like when you're 18, you're going off to school, you're getting ready to go off to school. My mom is trying to teach you about financial responsibility, but we don't have all the information that we needed. So when I applied for credit cards, I've actually found out that when I was 11 and 12, someone used my credit for a mortgage loan and a car loan.
Wow.
Now, I had the house. I don't know where the house is, but I did have to write to the judge, submit my paperwork so they see, okay, she was a minor when those happened, so I got it deleted. But being older, not really knowing how credit works, learning as I get older, because now I have children, knowing to put your kids' put your kids on as your authorized user, to help them build credit and things like that. Do you also, and I know you have a book as well, do you go over any of those practices, like the things that, people that look like us necessarily didn't know? Like you can pay your child up to $12,000 a year,
Correct.
That off your taxes. So when it comes down to things like that, people in our community need to know that, so that way it puts us ahead financially, and that's where most of the problem is, financially. So when it comes down to, adding people to, adding authorized users, adding your children, when it comes to those credit practices, when you're adding kids, what is your approach for people? What is the best approach?
Yes, really, basically what you said, kind of letting them know, educating them about that process. A couple of things you talked about, because I know when we were younger, and it happened a lot within, communities and stuff like that. When we were younger, that our parents or grandparents used our names to get the light bill turned on and and then by the time we grew up and it got stuck with us, and I don't think they really meant to hurt us, but they were just trying to survive, trying to get things going and stuff like that. So a lot of times we factor and we see that as well. So trying to educate our youth about the importance. That's one of the things that I'm so proud of, that after I wrote the book and it came out and people started calling me to do workshops, and education people. I was in the schools. This was when I was living in Jersey, and I was really, really focusing on young people so they can understand the importance of how credit is going to be as they grow up, and letting the parents know that that's something that we do need to pass on to them and let them know about savings and making on-time payments, paying your bills on time, and being financially responsible, and whatever else that that's going to be involved with that. So I did a lot of education in the schools and churches and the workplaces. I had a nice presentation. I had everything, because they was calling me at that time all the time. I was getting called all the time. We go everywhere from New York to Jersey to we went to Georgia one time, Atlanta, Georgia one time, to do a workshop down there and different. I mean, and I'm glad, because I love teaching. I love educating, right? I love educating, giving people the tools that they're going to need.
Right.
Or at least the foundation that they then can build upon. Because you can't give them everything, but you give them a foundation, so they can build upon that. So really trying to educate the parents on really teaching their children about financial responsibility, and really looking to the future and saving and wanting to get a home down the road. Well, this is what you're going to need to do to maintain, how to use credit cards when you get it, how to understand how they work. Things like that. So always bringing forth that education to me is very important.
Right, absolutely. So personal credit, why is it so important still? Like, how do you feel going into like 2021 and people are still walking around with bad credit? It's like credit is like so important, as well as the money. Our money is changing. We have Bitcoin and all these digital.
Right.
How do you see how credit will affect or play a factor in like our digital money era, like that we're in? I don't even know. I know we're in the digital age still, but like our cryptocurrencies and things. How do you see credit affecting or collaborating with those currencies, those digital currencies?
Yeah, credit to me, I believe, at least at this juncture in the years to come, is going to play a very big part, even with those Bitcoins and things coming on, because it's still being able to leverage, being able to get something without having the money on hand to be able to receive credit. In order to do that, lenders or people are going to need to know what is your ability to be able to pay back. If I can get you a home, I'll get you a car, get you a loan or whatever. What is your ability to pay this back? And I need to know, do you have a history of being able to pay back your loans or pay your bills? And the only way I'm going to know that is I'm going to have to see what your credit score is and your credit history is, because that's going to play a big part. So understanding that the credit rates are still very big, and years gone by, if you had a lot of money or you made good money and your credit was so, they would kind of overlook it because you had a great job, things like that. But now you could be making $100,000. If your credit is jacked up, they're not giving it to you. They're going to tell you to fix that. And I've had clients who made little as $20,000, who's made over $100,000 and still had to get their credit fixed. Still had to get it fixed. Still had some things on there, that they had to work on, because credit is just that important. And we do have to understand the importance of really having good credit. So whether you go to Bitcoin or crypto and all that good stuff, credit is still going to play a major part. As long as you have the credit bureaus, as long as they're making billions of dollars, they're going to continue to put forth what your credit score is. So you have to understand that. You have to understand credit usage and how things are calculated, what they're saying about you. And I always say, listen, if everybody's looking at my credit report, then guess who else should be looking at my credit report? Exactly. Everybody should be looking at their credit report. I tell everybody, you should at least minimum be looking at your credit report at least twice a year. And that's just minimum twice a year, right? The more the better, but minimum twice a year, because you'd be surprised what gets on there.
Oh yeah, and with all the apps like Credit Karma, like I know you personally, you use Credit Karma, like Experian. Those are definitely ways to track the credit. I pay for the Experian because I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it only because I have been a victim of identity theft in the past. So protect myself as well. I haven't seen anything lately, so thank God. But
Good.
Those are definitely handy, and I definitely recommend them. So with building credit, now for the people, I've did this before and I don't like it, and you told me actually not to use it. So I want to share with the people, when they're trying to build credit, you said stay away from secured cards. Why?
Okay, so here's the thing with secure credit cards. You can use them to build credit. You can absolutely use them to build credit. As long as you manage them right and everything like that, over time, you can actually get your credit where it needs to be. But the little, as they would say, dirty secret about that is lenders, when they're looking at your credit report, if they see that you had to go by the way of a secure credit card, in their mind, it tells them that you have problems already, and now you're going to be risky to them. Right. And so they're going to factor that in the back of their mind when it comes to, should I give you the loan, or I'll give it to you, but now your interest rate is going to be kind of high. You know, so I always tell people, if you can avoid that, then avoid it. Yes, you can use it to build credit, and you can go from 4 to 5, 7, whatever, 8. But once they can't see that, lenders see that, that's the way you had to go. Just understand how they're going to be thinking, in terms of that. So to be able to do it without using secure credit cards is probably the best way to go.
That's why. Okay, awesome. So I hope y'all taking notes. And when you go back and read this, do not use unless you're responsible. That's basically what you're saying. If you know you're going to payments. And another important thing is the credit ratio. Can you break that down? Because I know it's like with your credit cards, credit utilization. Some people still don't understand like 30% of what their card is. That's what they should be staying under. As well as if you can break down that and statement date as well as due date.
Okay, absolutely. So if we look at the pie chart of how they come up with your credit score, and then we can break it down a little bit more, right? Now we know that the credit bureaus have their way of scoring things, and they don't actually give us the model of, they just be winging it. I'm going to give you 35 points here. I'm going to take 30. There's no standard. Just basically do what they want. But what you have to understand is that 35% of your credit score is going to be based on on-time payments. If you're making your payments on time, right? And that's why being late on any account will hurt you dramatically to have late payments. And when we say late payments, we're talking about when you're 30 days or more late on a payment. All right. So 35%, that's a big chunk, right? So if you really want your score to kind of move and go up, you definitely want to, manage and do on-time payments.
Okay.
The next part of that, 30% of your credit score is based on how much available credit do you have compared to what you're using. All right. And the standard that they say is usually, if you have credit cards, and this really applies to credit cards, you want to be under 30% utilization. That's the standard. The best method of that is to be under 10% or under. All right. That's where you get the big bulk of your score, push of your score, right? If your credit utilization is 10% or below, the standard would tell you to keep it under 30, and that's true. Keep it under 30%, right? And all that. And I tell people, in order to understand that, is look at your credit card, whatever your limit is, just divide it by 3. Whatever comes out, you don't want to spend past that amount. All right. You have more than one credit card, you add them all up, divided by 3. You want to stay under that limit, all right, of usage and everything like that. So that's 30% of your credit score. Then 15% is the length of credit, which is important, right? How long have you had credit? And that's why maybe we'll get into it down a little bit. Why you got to be careful when you're canceling or closing out cards. We'll come back to that because that hurts.
Okay.
Length of credit. And then the next 10% and the other 10% is a mixture of credit. What types of credit do you have? You have a mortgage, so you have an installment account, credit cards, revolving account, things like that. The more the mixture, the better it is. And then it's just like inquiries and things like that. New credit, that you get from inquiries and stuff like that make up the bulk or the last of the 10%. So the two areas where you really want to focus on, then we're going to jump into the credit cards, is that on-time payment, because this is the bulk of it. And I tell people, some people, Shantae, sometimes a lot of people say, I just want to get rid of the inquiries on my credit report, I need to get rid of all these inquiries. Yeah, okay, you can do that. But remember, that's only 10% of your score.
Right.
So even if you get rid of all of that, you got late payments and you're using all your credit cards, it's really not helping you.
Right.
You got to focus on the area where you really need
the major percentage.
The major, yes, and that's the on-time payments, and that's credit utilization. All right, so credit cards and managing that, right? I tell people when you have a credit card, there's definitely 2 dates you want to get used to, right? That's the due date, right? And that's the statement date. All right. Now, the due date, of course, is the date that they say you pay your minimum balance. Whatever your minimum balance is, you want to have that paid. You can pay more, but the minimum balance, right, on the due date, you want to make sure that's paid or that's taken care of. And then the second part is the statement date. Now, the statement date could be anywhere from 3 to 7 days past your due date, right? And that's the date that they're going to submit to the credit bureaus, whatever your balance is, right? And that's important because if you can pay down that balance before the statement date, that's going to help you get even, more of a boost when they report it to the credit bureaus the next 30 days. Because remember, they're always 30 days behind. All right. So due date, making that minimum payment, but you can move more than the minimum payment, but the statement date. So if you have your balance, if you have a bill, your balance is $500 and yes, the due date says only pay $25 on the 5th, just to make your minimum due date requirements. But then your statement date say, hey, if you just pay that $25 on the statement day, we're going to report $475 balance to the credit bureaus. And that's going to hurt you if that's over that 30% thing like that. So if you can pay that down, right, by then you can pay this. You know what? I'm going to pay this down. So if you pay it down, let's just say you have a credit limit of $1,000, right? And you use 500, right? And then you make your minimum payment, or say you pay a little bit more than, let's say you pay $100 on the due date. You have a $400 balance that they're going to submit on the statement day if you don't take care of that. If you pay that before the statement date, guess what? They're going to report the next day a zero balance, right? So now you could use the whole $500 the very next day.
I just want to ask, do that. I know the standing the credit utilization, but what if it's college student or just someone who can afford to max out $1,000 credit card? They can go ahead and max it out, but if they pay it if they pay it off before that statement date, the credit utilization it will report as zero, as well as their balance will report as zero. So that's going to give them a boost every single month when their credit card reports to the credit bureau, basically.
Absolutely.
So it out and ball out, but as long as you take care of it.
Yes. Now, if you can't handle it like that, don't do it that way. But that's the best way to do it. If you can manage it, that's the best. You can have a field day, right? As long as you pay it off. But if you're not good with money, be careful. That's what I say. Be careful until you can build up that type of discipline in order to do that. But that is the best way. You can actually do that 100% and pay it off before the next 30 days come up of the statement day, and you'll be fine, and you'll get a boost in your credit report. Now, also on your FICO score, though, when you do that, you will go down a little bit because I've noticed with FICO, they will see that usage being used, and you may go down 4 points, something like that, because they're going to say we notice an increase in your balance, stuff like that. But the big difference is after the 30 days and you report and you paid it off, you get a bigger jump. Right. A bigger jump. And always remember that the credit score is like the stock market. It's going up, going down, going up, based on the information that you use in those 30 days. So I tell people, don't be nervous when you see it go down or anything. It's like the stock market.
And that's the thing. So that is normal to see it fluctuate,
yes,
down. So people don't have to be nervous about that. Because sometimes I don't use my credit, I don't apply for anything, and then they'll say I got 1 point taken away, and it's whatever. But then 2 weeks from then it'll be up 5. So it's
exactly yes.
I'm gaining more than what I'm losing, then you're headed in the right direction. I always feel like there's going to be fluctuate. Right.
Right.
So now with the credit cards, the different type of credit cards. We just brought up, it was something else about the credit cards that I wanted to. But okay, so we went over the credit cards, the FICO score. What I want to also ask when it comes to credit, building business credit, because that is something that I'm also dealing with. And I know some people are wanting to build business credits that are starting their business as well. And a lot of people don't know that sometimes you don't, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't necessarily need to put your personal social security on your application for your business. But if you are asked to do so, and you have terrible credit, you're not going to get that loan, even though you're starting out a new business. So you want to build that business credit and work on your personal credit. So can you touch on how those two work together?
Absolutely. Business credit, and I try to educate people about that, because I had to learn it. I had to get to the point where I had to learn it. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know you can get business credit. You don't have to give a personal guarantee. So I went through the process of learning that and applying that to my company. So business credit is having the ability to get things in the name of your business, right, on credit, in which you will not personally be responsible for. So even if the business goes under and you have bills and stuff like that, they won't come after you personally, right? Only your company will be responsible for paying that debt, all right? So business credit is very important to know and to learn. There is a process and a way to build business credit. All right. Now, personal credit, we know the credit score goes from like 300 to 800, right? But with business credit, it goes from 0 to 100, right? And with personal credit, you need to be at I'm gonna say 700 to really be good, 700 or higher, right? With business credit, you need to get to 70 or higher, right? And then lenders will begin to, give your business some things without you having to put a personal guarantee on it. But they will always, that's the little secret thing, that lenders will always want you to give a personal guarantee. They will not tell you about business credit, right? Building business credit, or they won't. They'll just say, okay, can you give a personal guarantee? And most people who have a business, because they don't know, and they know their credit is jacked up, get nervous at that point, like, no, I'm not going to get it, or anything like that. And the lender don't tell them about, well, you can build business. They don't tell them that, because they always want them to have that personal guarantee on that. And I always tell people, and the people I've walked through that, I'll tell them, like, listen, when you get to the point where you have good credit and you apply and they mention that, personal guarantee, just tell them, no, I don't want to do personal guarantee. I want you to look at my business credit. I want it to stand alone. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to look at that. Right? They're going to look at it at the beginning, but they're going to look at that, and they're going to be able to establish that. Now, building business credit, right? It is a process. It can take 6, 7, 8 months if you aggressively do what you have to do, because everything about your business have to be literally structured like a business. There are certain things that a lot of lenders look at.
So what's your top 3? Because I know we went over, but just for people that are going to catch this information, what are the top 3 most important things when starting your business that you feel that you need to have in order when you're trying to build your business credit?
Okay, the first one I would say is the structure. Is it a C corporation? Is it LLC? Is it a sole proprietor? Like, the structure is very important when you first start a business. Now, typically you want to start at an LLC, right? Unless you have a big corporation or something like that, but you want to do an LLC. Sole proprietorship is okay, but as far as building business credit, is not the best. That's not the best. All right, you want to start at an LLC, or don't even do partnership. So partnership, just do LLC. It could be single member or multi-members, however you want to do that. So number one is how you begin to structure your business. All right. So LLC is limited liability. All right, corporation, a company, I should say. All right, and that just protects you in case someone want to sue you. Right, they have to sue your company and not you. It gives you that protection. All right, so that's number one. Number 2, right? A lot of people, you want to make sure you have a business bank account.
Absolutely, no cash.
No Cash App. No, say no Cash App. Please,
Well, they'll
people.
put a bank
Oh,
account.
yeah. You can have that for other people, but do not present that to a lender who wants
Right.
to see your
Right.
business. Make sure you show them a business. Now, remember also, you can have a bit. Let's say you open up a business in 2020, but you don't actually get a business bank account. Let's say 2023, 24, right? Linda's going to say, well, your company actually started in 2023, 24, because they consider it started when you have a business banking account. That's important. That's why I always tell people, and I walk them through that. When you get your LLC, you get that, walk over to the bank and get that business bank account. So when you say your business started this year and this month, yes, it did start. The lender's going to say, yes, it did, because they're going to connect the two. So that's important.
Okay.
And then I would say the third thing that they want to see, the third thing I would put in that category, because what's important also is, like, a lot of people start a business in their home. Like, we've all started business, use our home when we first signed out, because we didn't have a business. We didn't have an office or anything like that. But when you begin to build business credit, if you're not thinking about business credit, then yeah, you can do the home thing and kind of leave it there. But when you start thinking in terms of building business credit, they want to know your setup. Do you have a building or an office, right, that distinguish it from a home office? They want to know, again, is it structured like a business? Is it like Walmart? Is it like UPS, right? Do you have? And that's why I tell people, even if you don't have a physical building, you can always do those. What's the word I'm looking for? Virtual offices. You can do those virtual offices, things like that. Because that's the one I did when I was building my business credit. I said, okay, I got a virtual office, and they started accepting that. Just where you keep your mail and things go, you physically not even there, right? Other than to check to see if you got any mail. But that's important that they want to see that. And when they do a search, they're going to do a search, and if you give them the address, they're going to do an overhead search. Like they do. This all happens like quickly, though, but they do an overhead search, and if they see that that's an apartment or that's a house, right, you will get denied. Most lenders going to deny you right off the bat, right? Some things they're going to deny you right off the bat.
Yeah, but that seems like kind of
iffy, stuff like that. But I'm going to give you a lot. I want to see that you have a business again, like you're building business, right? So that maybe I'll put that at number 3, because that's so important in terms of wanting to get funding for your business, all right? Because a whole lot of other things they want to see as well, making sure you have a 1-800 number, making sure you have a business website, making sure that your email address does not end with a Gmail account or a Yahoo or AOL. They want to see a .com, so it's a lot of things like that you will flood in after that, Shante, when it comes to building business credit.
Absolutely. And so for people that look like me and you, this information that you have put together, I have the book right here. So I told them I was going to bring it out. How to repair your credit report legally. What the credit collection agencies do not want you to know. So this book, how can people get their hands on this book if they are wanting to fix their credit themselves?
Okay, so we're getting ready to put it on Spotify, but right now, we're getting ready to move to Spotify. Right now, they have to get it through me. They just contact me and any of my platforms that I have out there, Instagram, Facebook, and you can actually get it through me. And you can, just contact me. We let you know how to get that book through me. We'll mail it out to you and everything like that.
So, like, if somebody gets this book and like they get to a place where they're like, okay, Angela, I done sent out those letters and something is still not working, how do you assist them from there? Like, would you take over, like how you're helping me? Like, would you take it over? Because I don't think I made that clear. Angelo can help you with your credit. You can purchase this book, you can do it yourself, or you do retain a fee, as well as you work with a team of lawyers that do work for your clients and retrieve money and make sure that debt collectors are not harassing them. So if someone starts the process by themselves, but just like, okay, I don't have time for this, can they come back to you and you take it over for them at that point as well?
Yes, absolutely. So the book was written to really give people a foundation, right, on the fact that they can actually repair their credit on their own, right? It's just a foundation to give them every single day, but it gives them a foundation. Now, I've had people who have used my book and actually came back and said, I got my credit just based on the information you had in the book. I was able to do it. I added more stuff, found out more, and that's the purpose of that. That's definitely the purpose of that. My company is built for the fact that people who say, man, that's great information. I get that. You got a lot of stuff, but I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. I can't wait for letters to come back. I just need your service. For them, that's where I come in. Then you can hire my service to help you clean up. What we do is clean up your credit report, negative items on your credit report. And we use like I said earlier, what the law says your rights are to get it cleaned up. Tell people it's not an overnight fix, right? You didn't mess it up overnight. You're not going to fix it overnight, right? But with time and patience, we'll get you there. We've helped hundreds of people over the years get their credit to where it needs to be. So yeah, you can do that. You can use the book to get started, and you can, if you add to it and do some more work, you can get it done. You can reach out to us. Even if you get the book and you have questions, you can always call me. Advice is always free. Advice to me is always free. We can give you something to help you get over. Then we'll do that all day, every day. All right. For those who say, well, I just don't have the time, can I hire you here? I remember one time I was back in Jersey. I was helping this sergeant from Passaic Police Department. I fixed his credit, right? I fixed his credit. And then maybe close to a year later, he calls me to come to his house, right? So I come to his house. He said, listen, man, I'm not even going to mess with you. I messed it up. Here's the check right here. Go do what you do. And I had to, he's like, I just don't have the time. You do what you do. You helped me already. And so it's things like that. I took the check and walked out, already had his information, and we cleaned it up again. So things like that. We just love helping people, whether we're giving them education and understand how they can do it, or we're there to help assist them. Now, you mentioned our attorneys. Now, I will say this. I've been working with attorneys for the last 5 years. I started out working with one attorney from New Jersey. Then I ended up working with another attorney, but my business was so big that the second attorney said, you need a whole law firm for all the clients you have and the things that you have. And the last year now, I've been working with a whole law firm here in Virginia, even though they're located in New York, but down here in Virginia. And over the last 5 years, Shantae, if you add it up, we have had debt collectors pay out over $100,000 in violation payments, meaning that our clients were getting checks for $300, $500, $1,200. I mean, things like the biggest award we won was $22,000 from Verizon, because they was robocalling and they wouldn't stop. And
and I
mean, took them to court.
And it's how much per call? Like about
$500 per call.
I'm gonna call Verizon and tell them, or somebody tell Verizon.
$500 per call. And the worst part of it is if you keep a collection of all their calls and the judge deemed that they was just going overboard with the amount of times they was calling, it goes from $500 to $1,500 a call, just because the judge deemed that you was just really going overboard. Exactly. So yes, our attorneys to me are awesome. They get items removed, and when possible, they get our clients' money back, which makes them very happy.
Right. Which is awesome, which I love. I was really honestly surprised when you called and you said that. I was like, retainer. I was like,
yeah, they found some stuff.
Like no money back, just the freedom of having something off of your credit.
Right.
To be approved, going into the bank or, wanting that house, just trying to move in a positive direction, with the credit. I just think it's super dope, honestly, that you guys work together as a team to not only fix people's credit, but actually go and do the behind work. So that way, you're educating people on how to keep their credit, the way that we want it, that we use it and access it and access other people's money. Like,
there you go.
We don't want to use our own money. Well, then how you don't? You can fix
right. Exactly.
money.
Exactly.
Leverage on somebody else's account. So thank you to you and your team. I mean, that is super amazing. I'm telling you, thank you now, because whether I get a check back or not, I'm excited just to get
You
stuff.
get
You know,
you getting something.
I'm,
Tony's like, tell her we got something else for Shantae. Send her this retainer.
yeah,
And the funny part was, I said, well, she already signed the retainer. They was like, no, this is a whole different area. This is the Fair Credit Reporting Act now. We got on these debt collectors. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna email her right now. I'm gonna send it to her. But text
I
her.
said another one. I was like, okay. Like the first one was talking, but the second one is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful, and I just want, honestly, this platform to use for people that look like us, brown and black people, and supporters that need to fix their credit or wherever it may be, that we have the same information that everybody else has,
Right.
that we can push each other forward and help each other build. Financial freedom is something that I really do feel will set everybody free. I mean, just
Yes.
everybody can live in a house, drive the car that they want, and live the life that they want. Being able to not have the debt, know how to manage their credit. That is super important. So, Angelo, I just want to thank you for that alone. I hope that people go back and they watch this and they take away from it. As well as I want to plug your podcast.
Yes.
When do you upload for your podcast? When do you record? Tell us about the podcast as well.
So I have a podcast that's on all platforms right now. It's called The Credit Repair Show with Angelo McCutchen. I'm labeled as the Credit Doctor. I'm labeled as Credit Doctor for years, right? So it's just called. You can go to iTunes and Google Podcasts. I upload usually on Mondays. I try to do at least twice a week, but sometimes I even do more, right? Because I just be like breaking down. It's very short, like 20 minutes, so I don't make them long. Right? I just give enough there so I can, keep stretching it out. I don't think people are going to sit, So I'll keep it like 20 minutes, no more than 20, 21, 22 minutes, stuff like that. But I break down different topics, different subjects. Like we just talked about things we talked about today. We talked about that, maybe a little more in depth. And so you can find it anywhere where
you get your podcast.
Where you get your podcast. Just called The Credit Repair Show with Angelo McCutchen.
Awesome. So I definitely hope y'all going out, listen to that. And you say you normally upload on Mondays, but you have episodes up already. So there's
I have about 17 episodes up there already. I have right now close to 300 downloads in less than 2 months, and I'm just excited, And people are reaching out to me. One lady Instagrammed me, said, "Listen, can you talk about the difference between Credit Karma and a FICO score?" I had another gentleman, he actually Facebooked me. So I heard your podcast, and can I call you with some more information? I said, of course you can. And eventually he became a client, but we help him. This is what I like doing. It's to me, it's awesome.
Right. And then you were so helpful with doing it. I mean, this is just something that you're obviously passionate about.
Yes.
Helps other people. I know you're just a giver. And before I even knew who you were, I'm going to shout them out right now. Candace and her husband Brian. I know she referred me to you a few years ago.
Okay. Yes.
It's like someone working with my credit. I don't know. So it's like, let me see how that goes for you. And she told me later on, she was like, me and my husband, we messed it up. We had to go back to him. And I'm like, you have to go back to the same person. All right. And then I'm going to shout out my homegirl, Crystal. You helped her parents in Clifton purchase their house and fix up their credit. So it's personal, people that awesome. I personally, that before I even knew you, that were talking highly of you. They always speak so well about you. So I was like, that makes me comfortable. And sometimes we need to see other people do stuff.
Right.
Do we actually want to do that? But when it comes to the credit, I really just, I want to do this more with you to get more people out
anytime.
there.
Yes, anytime.
Push this and really gain that financial freedom, fixing the credit. We don't have to be walking around with, debt that, old addresses and old debt that we don't get cleaned up. So I'm super excited.
Get rid of all of that.
Yeah, I'm super excited for your podcast. So everyone, you can go over and you can listen to how to fix your credit. Like if you're riding to work, you can just be listening to the podcast. So that way you know what to do.
That's right. Absolutely.
You have so many ways that you're helping you like across your platform. So I just want to say thank you as well. Again,
You're welcome, Shantae. You're welcome. I appreciate you. Actually, and let me say this, Shantae, I wouldn't even be doing a podcast if you didn't actually tell me about the podcast. But I think I was mentioned to you, or you was talking about your podcast, and you was like, well, I'm going to email you Anchor. I'm going to email you Anchor. And that got me started. I would have never did it if it wasn't for you.
And
so I appreciate it.
Listen, if I could share the wealth, that is the whole purpose of Melanin Success Magazine, is not to keep information for myself or just for a few of us, is to give it to whomever wants
it. Yeah.
Out. If you want it, come grab it. If you don't,
that's right.
Fine.
right. Right.
All right. So, Angelo, I just have to ask you one more question before we go for the evening. What is the name of that Black-owned business that you be minding?
The Faithful Credit Group, LLC. That's it. The Faithful Credit Group.
That's right. So if you need to, you can definitely look them up on Facebook, Instagram, the podcast itself. You can go back and replay this. I'm going to have the links to Angelo's page. I have it on my page. So there's no reason why nobody should be walking around with bad credit in 2021.
That's right.
You got to stop this somewhere.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for having me on. Shantae, I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it. I love it. Love giving out information. So I definitely want to tell you thank you.
Of course. And we'll be back. We definitely have to do this again.
Yes. Just let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Angelo. And thank you to everyone that tuned in. I hope you take away great gems from tonight. And if you have more questions, there's a whole book, there's a whole podcast, the whole man is sitting right there. So we have no excuses, y'all. Have a great evening, everyone. And thank you so much for tuning in to Melanin Success, the podcast. Have a good night.
Peace.